Let me just double check that we are in fact live. Should be. Looks about right to me. Yeah, it does look about right to me. I'm definitely live at this point. So I think in one sitting I saw about half of Chambers. Well, this is probably his most recent video. He's leaving the retro gaming community. As in, the guy who got the first ever sub 26 in Castlevania III Alucard route. One of the guys who beat my 2608, like, just took my world record, which I eventually did get back from him. Okay, can I put this like the beginning? Alright, what's going on here? Okay, there it is, Zero.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since I've been active on social media, and I've been active playing my usual NES games on my Twitch channel. And I thought I would give people an update, give them my thoughts on some subjects, and what I would like to see going forward. Well, first and foremost, why am I not as active as I used to be? Well, in general, my interests have just changed. I've been spending a lot more time in prayer and devotion. I've been doing a lot of reading of scripture and just reading articles, writing, and basically just working on righteousness and holiness. And
yeah, from what I've seen lately, this is pretty much very true.
That basically has been the main focus of what I've been doing over the last so many weeks. And it's actually been a very good thing for me, a very healthy thing for me, because a lot of us can get wrapped up into bad relationships or bad situations. There's a lot of toxicity out there, and the best thing that we can do is just have healthy boundaries and determine, what we want to engage in and what we don't, and what we think is going to be best for, well, in my case, not just for myself, but for my wife and my 4 children. And so I've been,
Yeah, I think some of them still play Fortnite.
What it means to be a good husband, what it means to be a good father, what it means to be a good Christian. So those things are first and foremost in the front of my mind. Though I have also been discouraged about the state of gaming in general. Gaming has been a great way for me to express myself. And what I mean by express myself is not to try to thrust my ideas about identity, gender, or genitals into the face of other people. Rather, expression in gaming has been the opportunity to set goals, the opportunity to be creative and analyze gaming code.
This is pretty much what I wish gaming would strictly be about. Setting goals, analyzing gaming code, finding passion in something, and then also finding other people who thus share this common interest.
To examine RNG outcomes and to basically consider all the possible ways of mapping out a game.
Just call it luck.
Carve off an additional frame or two.
Just call it luck, though.
And this has served a very large role in my life over the last 7 years. It's given me the ability to express myself in these ways and to make contributions first and foremost. And that is what I enjoy doing.
And then again, when I think about it, what you get from gaming is pretty much subjective. It's really based on like the kind of person you are. Like, what are you looking for in a game? I guess some people just play casually and never really mind, just trying to set ludicrous goals and then just eventually somehow accomplishing them. Some people just simply might want games to unwind, to have fun, to relax. Even I've definitely embarked on these journeys where I've just tried to squeeze out a couple seconds from various speedruns I've done. May just jump right back onto Alucard, maybe later today if not tomorrow, because there's still like 3-4 seconds I want to try and take off of that.
Enjoyed the occasional chill game on Steam and maybe some RPGs on Super Nintendo, and these things have been fun for me. and I may still do certain things like that offline.
Yeah, plus I sometimes do play games to chill as well. After playing games to just try and accomplish some crazy goals, like speedrunning CV3.
But my interests have generally have changed. Though I have a lot of good to say about gaming and what it has contributed to my own personality, as well as making good friends and making lifelong connections. Those things have been very exciting. Building the stream on Twitch has been very exciting. Um, but I think for the most part, just being able to do something to get myself out of um, not having goals or not having a direction, not having a sense of what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Gaming kind of fell into my lap at a time in my life where it kind of gave me something to do.
Let's type Castlevania correctly.
But there's a lot of other things I could have done as well. But gaming just happened to have been that inspiration at one point when I watched The King of Kong, and
When I watched The King of Kong, that Billy Mitchell documentary.
Set scores on that.
Fucking Billy Mitchell.
All of that stuff has.
I heard he's a good player, but yeah, it's true he did cheat. Well, he vehemently claims that he didn't play on emulator when all signs point toward the fact that he did. And I've also heard that people that analyze some of Billy's runs looked at some of the gameplay, and gameplay-wise, they saw some plays that would be questionable at best, given how Billy could be like really far into a Donkey Kong run, and he could make some very risky play that would have, say, very little payoff, but if it went wrong, his run would just end there. Losing a competitor must be a bummer. Talking about CV3, yeah, sort of. I guess it also means my world record is, like, safer than if Chambers were still active. But why would someone lie about not being on an emulator? Because when it comes to playing on an emulator, both, number one, it's easier to cheat on an emulator, and number two, the official leaderboards that Billy Mitchell submitted his Donkey Kong run to, they didn't allow the use of emulators. I think now that same leaderboard has like a split for actual arcade console and MAME, which is like an emulator for arcade consoles. So yeah, Billy played his famous Donkey Kong run on MAME, though he like constantly claims that he did not. He played on original hardware, but that's not the case. Strongly implying that he did in fact fake that run in some way or another. So yeah, Billy Mitchell. Everyone says he's a cheater. I can definitely see where they're going with that.
It's been fun, and it should be fun, and which is why I'm going to spend the rest of my time talking about preserving the integrity of gaming as gaming. As some people know, a year or two ago, I had created a Twitch team called Retro Craze.
Oh boy. This fucking team.
And that the team itself.
Let me be honest, the intentions were good with the whole gaming only policy, but I still, in the end, didn't agree as to how exactly it was enforced. So for example, maybe I could just let Chambers tell his side of the story first, and then I'll just tell you mine. But he, like, made a decision regarding that team and one of the members on it that I did not exactly agree with.
Or the way that I wanted my team to function on Twitch was gaming only. And basically
gaming
what
only.
That meant is that we were going to be all-inclusive and diverse, meaning that anybody could be part of it, but that the team itself was not going to be a basis for somebody to share ideas about their religion, so their channel isn't going to be about religion. It's not going to be about Christianity. Those are things that I didn't do. It wasn't going to be about conservative politics. I wasn't going to do that, And for other people, some people really like to identify their streams or themselves as LGBT, and those things just lie outside of gaming. We wanted to stream to the broadest audience possible. Now, I know some people have had different opinions about that, but essentially, when the day is done, it was my team. I could do whatever I want with it. Everything
He's
that
not
I ever
wrong.
wrote, every rule, every paste bin, every tweet, everything that people said to me, all of that stuff was sent to Twitch.
And I could also just make my own judgments based on his decisions. So there was this guy known as Lilavir, sorry, I butchered his pronunciation. Lilavir. So some random guy on Twitch I had never heard of up until the whole Team Retro Craze controversy. So at the bottom of Lilavir's own Twitch stream, he had the tag LGBTQIA+. So he didn't really run away with this in his streams. He wouldn't explicitly just make his streams about how he was an LGBT ally, but he just had that tag at the bottom of his stream, and Chambers told him to get off the team, and I didn't agree with that decision because I felt like Chambers was personally just reaching into Lilavir's own personal space. I forgot what else I was gonna say. That's pretty much all I really need to say for now. Maybe the rest of it will come back to me a bit later. One mention on someone being LGBT or Christian or Islamic shouldn't offend someone.
And Twitch did not have any problems with me being on their platform. Not once did they issue any sort of warning.
Twitch had no problems with Lilavir either.
Kick me off the platform.
Yeah, if it really was a problem, then it would be Twitch's responsibility, which it's not.
I was fighting for the integrity of gaming, and that is what I wanted to preserve. What's important about...
I just don't feel he exactly went about trying to protect the integrity of gaming in the best way possible. The policy? I definitely like the sound of the policy. It's a pretty good guideline to follow. But just reaching into Lilavir's personal space onto his own Twitch page was not exactly how I would have gone about it if I was in his position. Let's just say he was actually bringing that into Team Retro Craze events, bringing LGBT issues into their events. That would be a different story. But this was not the case. Lilavir doesn't just, proselytize LGBT, culture whatsoever on his streams. He's just, an ordinary guy, ordinary gamer like you and me, just has this tag at the bottom of his stream. There's nothing wrong with that. Shouldn't be.
Is that I was against any sort of gatekeeping mentality. Alright? For some reason within the retro community there seems to be, if you're conservative, if you're a Catholic, if for some reason you just don't agree with people about LGBT ideologies, then you're labeled a bigot. People don't want you around. I mean,
this is true.
I, for one, had been banned in over 80 different
Twitch chats.
Channels. People didn't want me around. And
I think Arcus also banned him.
my own ideas about stuff too.
To quote someone, that's like punching Mr. Rogers.
But to sit there and police other people's ideas all the time, that's problematic. And to treat people poorly because of their ideas, that's problematic.
That's how I felt about his response to Lilavir's Twitch tag.
It should have been our primary focus. It should have been our shared passion, our common interest, the unifying principle that we all came around. And if at any point some discussion, debate, differences of opinion, different philosophical conflicts, whatever, if any of those things had ever came into clash that would negatively impact the gaming community as a whole, then that is something that we would have to address in order to once again preserve the integrity of what gaming is, to keep gaming pure, to keep it about the gaming, about the gaming commentary, about sharing ideas about games and the streaming experience, talking about hardware, software, tricks, strategies, tactics, all those things that go into speedrunning or just enjoying a casual game for here and there. And for me, what was important and why I structured my team the way I did in the context of the retro community is because I saw how conflicts about religion and philosophy had often caused
Divided the community
and
in
fights among
question.
people in such a way that it ended up just causing too many clashes, people banning people, and when I recognized that,
And perhaps also just new people looking at this and seeing the drama, and they're just being like, okay, fuck this, I'm out of here. You guys are lame. Yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, gatekeeping mentality, he doesn't agree with. Obviously, I'm pretty much in the same boat as him when it comes to him seeing this sort of gatekeeping in the retro community, or just in general the speedrunning community, really. Okay, so take Awesome Games Done Quick 2020. There was Toju, there was Mutski, and there was Luzbelheim. Three of them just sharing the controller doing a 9-hour Final Fantasy speedrun. I think it was Final Fantasy 8. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 8. Run did pretty well on YouTube. Luzbelheim also going through like some of the menus blindfolded for like a good minute or so. Yeah, there was that show of skill. And of course, there was all the whole raising money for charity. So, anyone who's ever been to a GDQ or has watched one, have you attended or watched it to support your favorite speedrunners, to watch them just play your favorite games very quickly? Have you attended it to help raise money for charity, for goodwill? Have you attended it to hear about Spanish politics? How many people have ever gone to a GDQ because they wanted to hear about Spanish politics and far-right Spanish political parties? Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think anyone did. Yeah, Lispelheim didn't bring any of that into Games Done Quick. It was someone else that did, but he still got banned all the same. Someone else brought his support for Vox, the right-wing, the far-right political party in Spain, and also him mocking feminists and pronouns. Can you summarize Chamber's side of the story for me real quick? I mean, you could just rewind the stream or just context in general. Yeah, he pretty much had this philosophy with the team he created known as Team Retro Craze. So yeah, he had a team on Twitch momentarily. I think they had like one event, and the whole drama broke out like during that event. So the event didn't go all that well, but it still wasn't a complete failure. I mean, we still had our fun. And then the team pretty quickly dissolved after that. This drama pretty much coming from him telling Lalavir to just leave the team or get rid of his LGBT tag on his own Twitch page. Lalavir just left the team. I mean, I would have honestly felt pretty insulted too if that were me. And like, I'm not LGBT in any sense, but still. Did it have something to do with him banning that guy for the LGBT plus tag? He didn't ban the guy. He told him he had to remove that or he'd just have to kick him out. And the guy just left. Which I personally didn't agree with that from Chambers. That was back in June 2019. Yeah, that was over a year ago.
when I recognized that, that's what drove me to a gaming only mentality. That's what made me want to preserve gaming and protect it and keep it as gaming. But there are also people in gaming, the retro community specifically, who do not want gaming to function as gaming. They don't want that protected because they want to infuse, they want to infiltrate, all right, the gaming community with LGBT ideology and leftist ideas.
Or just any ideology, really.
Right
Not necessarily leftist or LGBT.
Make, channels about Trump and Christianity and all this other stuff, but
and maybe neo-Nazi ideology,
really
for all we know.
I think people who are more right-leaning, center to center right, tend to just focus on their games a lot more. But people who are more left leaning tend to bring that stuff into their streams and bring that stuff into their gaming a lot more. It's a lot. You've probably noticed yourself where you go to a marathon or a race, and they're adding in their he, him, she, her,
The
they,
pronouns.
theirs,
I really do want to get
Caesars,
behind the
all
pronouns.
of this stuff. And basically, what it's saying is,
Oh.
I'm not here just as a gamer playing a game for you. I'm here, and guess what? This is my identity. This is my identity. Look at it. And the problem is that, well, I don't get to do that. Other people think, well, I don't get to do that. Not in the way that they are doing it. See, they want to influence other people because they want other people to be involved in their thoughts. They want people to buy in to their ideas.
I was gonna actually go on about the whole pronouns thing. I definitely want to get behind the idea of feeling free to use your pronouns, putting those besides your name, wherever, but I just can't help but also think about the general culture that comes along with these pronouns. The one that just isn't really tolerant of, like, let's just say if you accidentally misgender someone, you might just get banned from chat straight away. Yeah, I still can't help but think of that one guy that was banned from GDQ Cat, Games Done Quick Chat for accidentally misgendering the commentator. The guy at first thought he was banned for criticizing the audio quality of the stream, but turns out he was banned for misgendering the commentator. Whether or not by accident or on purpose, he was still banned regardless. Then there was like another person who got banned from GDQ chat for saying, "It's fine, bro, you got this." The render in question was female. Trans woman, but still like female regardless, if you want to go by that definition. I would still just give her the benefit of the doubt and call her a female, if that's what she wishes to be, like, identified as. I love how he says I just can't do that. Like, for example, having a Catholic tag. Why do I feel like that would just stick out more?
They want people to
I don't know.
basically be influenced by their philosophies. And the thing is that we're all different. We all have different ideas about these things. And I think that's important. For example, I was having a conversation with an individual, and they basically told me that they were willing to accept any view of gender whatsoever, even if it was contradictory to their own, just as long as it wasn't my idea about gender.
Any view of gender. As long as it's not my idea.
I don't tend to be taken by surprise a lot on some of these things, but for some reason that took me by surprise. I wasn't ready for that. I kind of thought that, hey, you get to have your thoughts on gender, I get to have my ideas on gender. What's the big deal? Well, apparently it is a really big deal for those who try to serve as gatekeepers and try to force ideological conformity. So basically, it's if anybody mentions anything, a view of gender or anything else that a person doesn't like, then basically they're attacked and ostracized, and people insult them and intimidate them, and cancel culture, all that stuff. That stuff's ridiculous.
Surely he's not the only one who's seeing it this way.
Think you're this, that, or
I'm seeing it like this too.
You can do those things, right? Just don't push it on everybody else, because not everybody else is going to think that same way. You see, because once you allow some thinking, you have to allow all thinking. And that's the problem with not keeping it gaming only. So you have to, start making concessions. You have to start making justifications for what non-gaming things you're going to allow and what others see that you're not. I know for some people that they're what seems to be important to them is identity. Identity seems to be a really important thing for some people, but it also seems to
especially if it's just on the bottom of the stream and not like
people
explicitly being mentioned frequently during the stream.
Their ideas the ideas that they use to
Well, I do agree with you,
construct their
Debug, on that.
to be critiqued. You're critiquing my identity. How dare you question my identity? You know, but my identity is questioned all the time, right? So, I mean, I think that I have an immaterial soul, all right, that was created directly by God at the moment of conception, right? That I am a child of God and that my identity is in Christ, right? And that there's an image of God here. Well, the thing is, people don't like the ideas that I just used just now to construct my identity. That's who I am. That's what I am. It would be strange for me to say to somebody, "Well, you're denying my existence." You're engaging in erasure, and all of that kind of stuff. You're being a bigot. No, people just have different ideas that they use to construct identity, and it wouldn't make any sense for me to be upset about those things because you get to have your ideas, I get to have mine. You get to have your life, I get to have mine. Because when the day is done, we all get to have our own journey of asking questions, of analyzing things, of evaluating books, topics, critiquing philosophies, examining ideas. And we all get to ask those really difficult questions about the meaning of life and what we are, making metaphysical statements about the universe, whether it merely exists as matter, motion, space, and time, and can you even know that, even if it does? And those are more of the epistemological questions and questions of morality, of whether or not homosexual acts are disordered, or whether or not they're perfectly natural, or I don't think that they're natural in the sense that it conforms to the principles of genital complementarity and functional compatibility. There's people out there who think that the rectum is a sexual organ. I don't. All right, so there's a lot of strange ideas out there, and I'm going to critique them. If I don't like certain ideas, I'm going to critique them, and likewise, if I have ideas that you don't like, you're going to critique them. Whatever. We all get to have our thoughts about it. But what's important is that every human being has inherent dignity, okay? So we get to examine these things. We get to have this journey of thought and identity and understanding, and we get to examine the world. We get to process our emotions. We get to think through our experiences. We get to sift through reality. And we get to ask all these really big questions, these questions of ultimacy. And, we all get to do that, and I think it's really important that we do, and we recognize that process itself has a dignity, because it's the human person who is engaging in those things and trying to understand things. And I don't fault anybody for coming to conclusions on this, but you have to consider this. When you treat people like trash because they have ideas different than yours, that's not going to attract them to you or to your ideas. Like, let's say you have a person who very well could come to the same conclusions that you have 5 years from now, but guess what? You were a complete prick to them. You were very mean to them. You subjected them to cancel culture. You made your position so unattractive. You made yourself appear so unattractive to them that they're completely repulsed by you or anything remotely connected to you and your ideas. So really think long and hard about the approach.
What, the whole harsh rejection of ideas you don't agree with?
You genuinely care for them. You love them. You want them to know that you understand them, and you appreciate them, and that you want what's best for them. So you have to understand that dialogue is really important in this process. Right? Dialogue is one of those things that brings people together and enables us to work towards mutual understanding, and that open dialogue leads us to that. That doesn't mean that we're going to come to the same ideas. You can't force.
Political polarization.
You can't thrust that on people, and you cannot demand that of people, and you can't function.
Not a fan of that type of polarization either.
Tolerance and diversity, when you're actually acting very intolerant and trying to force conformity of thought on these subjects. You can't have a militant activism and also be open to, welcoming everybody in a very inclusive environment in the gaming community.
Yeah, pretty much what Chambers said earlier. We're all inherently different. So, yeah, I'm just not really a fan of trying to just force everyone to think the same because we're not necessarily the same in how we think. Sure, we're all human, but we all have our own ideas. We have a right to our own ideas as well.
So that gaming can once again remain the primary focus, the shared passion, the common interest, the unifying principle to preserve the integrity of gaming as gaming and to keep it as it is.
I've also heard from some people saying that gaming is an escape from these real life issues. Just another reason why they just don't want to see these real life issues get too intertwined in gaming. Like, let's just say you go and watch games on Quick to try and get away from all this political drama. And then, like, the runner you just watched gets banned for supporting some right wing rhetoric that they didn't bring up during the stream. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I definitely want to say more, but I just lost my train of thought again.
I've had people tell me, well, Chambers, your ideas are very exclusionary. Christianity is very exclusionary. Every philosophy is exclusionary because every philosophy is built by a set of propositions that makes it distinct from another philosophy. Otherwise, they would be the same. And every proposition, that a person affirms logically excludes everything that is contradictory to it. All right, so you can't both affirm and deny something in the same way at the same time for there to be cohesion, or it's incoherent if it doesn't. You're not going to be able to have a very cogent worldview that kind of draws together things. You know, Otherwise, you're very fragmented and you're compartmentalizing things that basically, if you drew them together, you'd find all kinds of inconsistencies, such as treating people the way that you wouldn't want to be treated. Kind of like double standards and stuff like that. Absolutely horrible. But every philosophy, every position is going to have some exclusionary principle, such as this individual I was telling you about earlier, that they basically excluded the ideas of gender that I used to construct my own identity to understand myself. And even that, I don't even take that approach about constructing. That kind of makes it sound like it's more of a,
What I'm saying is that no one is forcing ideas by having tags or saying how they are.
I think
But Chambers was more forceful with his ideas by telling the guy to remove it.
For me, it's something that
That's exactly how I saw that whole drama.
And, I learn about. It's not something I construct. So I want to make sure that people know straight up that I reject that kind of postmodernism. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that people need to be more charitable towards one another. For some reason, it's very polarizing out there right now. I know that people are very passionate about their ideas.
Yeah, this was uploaded in the year 2020. It's very polarized out in the States these days, from what I hear.
Conflict of ideas. There's a time for debate. There's a time for friends to hash things out. There's times for people on opposing views to really go in deep and quoting scholars and data, statistics, and everything like that. There's a time and place for all of those things. We can have the political conversations, the cultural conversations, the philosophical conversations. What is man? What is woman? All of this stuff. Because you'll have one person who, they're like, well, trans women are women. That's their view, and they don't like it when they hear people, say otherwise. And then you'll have another person who would say, well, no, that's reducing womanhood. to a mere concept in the mind, or reducing womanhood to a mere costume. You can't do that. What is woman is more has much more dignity than a mere idea in our minds, and I think part of that comes from the postmodernism. And that's just how that seems to function. So you're going to have conflicts between people like that. So you're going to have people like J.K. Rowling who are going to be standing up for women and what it means to be a woman and all of that. And then you're going to have people who are mad at her and calling her turf and all this other stuff, and because they feel then threatened. That's what happens when you have two conflicting ideas. And there's a time and place for people to have those discussions.
And then you might just get people in the middle trying to make sense of the word woman because it has like multiple different definitions allocated to the same term. So a woman could be someone who possesses female genitalia, or it could just be like someone who is or feels like or acts like or lives out their life as a woman pretty much on a day-to-day basis. I guess in that case, you can't really know for certain how someone's feeling if they feel as if their body and their minds don't line up, because you can't directly access someone else's mind. You just can't do that. Only they can access their own mind. The best you can pretty much do to try to understand what a trans person may be feeling in any given moment, I think the best thing you can do is just more or less observe how they act, how they express themselves, what they do in day-to-day life.
But the gaming environment is not going to be for that. If a person really wants to, use the LGBT, QIA plus tag on their Twitch stream, they can do that.
They could do that.
I honestly don't have any problem with people using Twitch however they want to use Twitch.
Except for that one time back in May 2019.
Guess what? I want to use Twitch the way I want to use Twitch.
That was that one time.
That functions a particular way.
There was that one time, but still, it strikes me as awkward to hear him say that, honestly.
And take this to heart. People didn't seem to want that in the gaming community. They didn't. They didn't want to preserve the integrity of gaming. They wanted to be about protecting certain ideas that people have used to construct their identities. And it just became about identitarianism. It just came down to how people saw themselves. It became about what people like to do with their genitals. It came down to what people thought about the topic of gender. And all the while, I just wanted a team that was about video games, and it wasn't going to have any elements to it.
I remember more of like the backlash from his just in general terrible decision more so than the whole discussion about genitalia. Yeah, there was still actually a Castlevania one night only tournament. The event did still happen despite the fallout from his terrible decision regarding Lilavir and the LGBT tag on his Twitch page. So the event was going to have 16 people. It ended up dropping down to 4, and one of the 4 people's internet died out right as the tournament was about to begin, so that just left 3 people. And I was actually one of the remaining holdouts because I just wanted the Castlevania event to really just be about the Castlevania event, about playing the game. I just wanted to leave the whole drama aside and just play out the tournament as I was going to had this drama never happened. And then just worry about it all later once the event was done.
That moved us away from that. So, only gaming tags. In my mind, all of that stuff makes perfect sense, but I kind of get that, that wasn't going to be
only gaming tags.
Conducive to
oh, he's English. Got him out of here.
And the militant activism of some in the LGBT community and their allies. So, with that, circle back. All of this stuff, was a very, very huge turnoff to want to be part of and to consider myself
largely, yeah, or supportive of gay people.
The gaming community, if it's going to go in that direction, and that's who they want to be, and those people want to do that. But I would recommend for there to be a group of people, like a Gamers United kind of concept that's going to exist for the sole purpose of preserving the integrity of gaming, and do what I attempted to do with my Twitch team, and which, remember, Twitch had no problem with, no problem at all. So you can do this, you know. It's part of the broad diversity of what Twitch wants for their platform. So I really think that something like that should exist that keeps gaming the primary focus. Shared passion, common interest, unifying principle. I think that if a group like that existed alongside of, and even um, grew and drew people together on the basis of gaming again, and leaving the other things for other, milieus to hash out, and keep those to compartmentalize and keep those things separate.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I wish for gaming to just remain as he sees it. Common interest, unifying principle behind it, bringing people of all sorts of different backgrounds together that otherwise might not really interact. They get to know each other to some extent. They get to just find something they have in common, interact with one another over it, find some companionship. Yeah, just in other words, bringing people together as opposed to just forcing them apart. Because honestly, it's just a lot easier to control people when they're all divided and hating each other. So yeah, we need less division and more unity, obviously.
And so that the gaming doesn't become, a platform for people to bring a lot of non-gaming stuff into it. And I think that would be a good thing. I think that would be a really good thing, because I think people would enjoy gaming a lot more for what gaming is and what it has to offer. Because gaming has been an extraordinary experience for me, and I deeply enjoyed the process of working through games, and basically what it did for me as far as like goal setting goals and learning new things, and meeting new people. All of that stuff has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
And respecting each other despite the differences. That's what you were gonna say? I guess I beat you to the punch then. So yeah, what else can I say? We're all different. We all are individuals who have our own set of beliefs. None of us are. I don't think any of us are truly 100% alike, but at the same time, we're all the same because we all think, we can all feel pain, we all feel emotions. At the end of the day, we all exist. Each of us is an individual that exists. Don't forget that.
But I would recommend to people just stay away from the toxicity. Form a group like this. Try to make a difference. Try to preserve gaming and keep everything else out of it. And but for me, going forward, I'm not going to be involved in any of those things, if that's the direction that people are going to be going.
Yeah, it's probably the
I
direction
think
they're
in
going.
general, most people will either just remain silent, they'll form a group like I recommended, or they'll just leave gaming altogether. And you have to understand that when people are doing this, you put other people in a very awkward position when you try to force conformity, when you try to involve these other aspects into it. I get that people are, they're activists, that they really want to be involved with the causes and everything that seems to be important to some people. And all of those things are understandable, but try to leave gaming alone. Try to leave things alone. Not everybody wants to basically be, have that stuff forced in front of them all the time. For a lot of people, they game to escape. That they're tired of all the conflicts and the bipartisanship,
Yeah, I
the
did bring this up
politics,
earlier.
and
Some
the
see it as an escape from all
worldview
these crazy
clashes.
real world
And
issues.
sometimes it's nice to just unwind and sit down with a bunch of people and not have to worry about what their thoughts and ideas are on different subjects, and just sit there and play video
Yeah, and
games.
if you can just do that as a group,
We don't,
all unwind, all
we're not
disconnect
having to
from the
draw
real world
attention
for
to
just like a
what
short
we
period
think
of
about
time,
identity,
all the better.
genitals, or gender, or sexuality. I mean, think about it. Can we just play a video game? It makes sense to me, and hopefully it makes sense to a lot of you folks as well. But those are the sort of environments I'm not going to want to be a part of. I think it has been very toxic to me as a person, and it's actually been a very negative
Almost
thing
done.
for my spiritual journey. And I have found over the last month or so that in pursuing holiness and sanctification and trying to learn how to grow and develop and to be a better father and husband, these things are more important. And I'm not going to basically give real estate to people in my head. I'm not gonna. I've already removed Facebook and Twitter from my mobile device, so I don't use those on my mobile. So I recommend that to other people as well. It's been quite liberating not looking at my phone every 30 seconds. Sometimes I only look at my phone once or twice a day.
So yeah, the whole Team Retro Craze controversy. I still played through the Castlevania One Night Only Tournament event, ultimately losing to Jante because, come on, I was playing against fucking Jante. He was an ex-world record holder, of course I'd lose to him, like, 3 straight. So I ended up, like, beating one of the 3 remaining holdouts and losing to the other. So that's how that ended, and then I think a couple of days after the tournament happened, I got blocked by Team Retro Craze also. Yeah, I think there was like at least 19 to 20 other people who were blocked prior, and then I ended up getting blocked myself. Probably saw my response to his decision to just ask Lelevere to leave because of his LGBT tag that I did not agree with. I did post this on my Twitter. In the end, I just decided to not agree with Chambers' decision whatsoever. I find Lalevere's in the right. And then also, I think I liked a couple tweets pointing out the fact that, like, over 75% of the attendees just dropped out of the tournament over this controversy, and eventually just found myself blocked by Team Retro Craze. So I think I have the distinction of being, like, one of the only people in the speedrunning community who's simultaneously blocked by GDQ staff. Yeah, I think Liz Star still has me blocked. We've never interacted once, and she has me blocked. Probably saw some of the stuff on my Twitter and she didn't like, so she just blocked me, and that was that. We never interacted once. And then, of course, I was also blocked by this guy, by, his Team Retro Craze Twitter account that he was running. So yeah, I had the distinction of being blocked by, like, 2 people on pretty opposite sides of the political spectrum. And then there was still further drama regarding the whole Team Retro Craze that just went beyond the initial decision that Chambers made that I don't agree with still.
Just make sure there's I have friends who text me when they need help with some stuff, and so I try to check my phone every now and then. But beyond that, no. So yeah, going forward, the Chambers and Twitch channel is going to belong to my son. So he's going to play
Fortnite.
a lot of games like Call of Duty.
Oh, Call of Duty.
Legends, maybe some.
I saw his son. He doesn't look like he's old enough to play Call of Duty, but I guess that's just a fact of life. Little kids play Call of Duty despite the M17 sticker on the box of the game. Yeah, despite that, little kids play Call of Duty anyways. And I still wasn't done talking about the whole Team Retro Craze drama. Even Arcus found himself caught up in it. I'm not sure which happened first, like Arcus getting doxxed, because yes, this fucking actually happened, as in legit, the Bob Ross of speedrunning got doxxed. Like legit, this actually happened. So I don't remember if that was like before or after Arcus made a tweet calling out Chambers. I think it was after he got doxxed, he called out Chambers for the whole act of doxing. Except Chambers wasn't directly involved in it. What happened is that there was this guy who was very supportive of Chambers. Specifically, the guy was Messi82. Try and do a search on him on Google, you'll find very little information about him at all. He's just gone completely dark. Like, he just more or less almost completely disappeared from the internet. And this was not too long after the whole doxing incident. And let me tell you, that messy guy was pretty fucked in the head, if you ask me. Like, next time, if he ever decides to try and come back on the internet, I seriously hope his computer bursts into flames. So why is he bringing this kid into this? I honestly don't know. So yeah, Messi sympathetic of Chambers, like the way he saw, well, the way he wanted gaming to be represented as, didn't like all this quote unquote gatekeeping, exclusion of ideas that like he didn't agree with, they didn't don't agree with. Messi wasn't a fan of that either, but certainly went to more extreme measures to try and express his support for Chambers, which ultimately ended up with him attempting and succeeding at doxing Arcus. So now we know his real name is, but I don't know the guy in real life, so obviously I'm still going to refer to him as Arcus. And then, like, that's probably when Arcus made that call out tweet. Even though a bit of the information in it was false, I still 100% side with Arcus in that whole controversy. I'm a totally like on Arcus's side. Probably just some 30-year-old guy with a $50K PC living off his mom. Well, we don't know. Like he literally just disappeared like a week after. Doxing Arcus, just literally bragging about it. And since then we haven't seen anything from him. Like those tweets, I really wish I would have print screened them because they were pretty messed up if you ask me. Him literally bragging about doxing the guy. I was just not amused.
Support the channel if you want. It's all his. The information is his. He's going to keep the name. He's going to keep the art. He's going to keep the emotes and all of that because he thinks that stuff is really cool.
Well, I remembered Messi being a pretty talented Ninja Gaiden speedrunner. He was probably also good at a lot of other retro games when it came to speedrunning, but the guy was pretty fucked in the head if you ask me. The whole Arcus doxing just really hurts the cause way more than it helps it. Highly doubt someone like that would disappear off the internet. Well, a week or two after the whole dox, he did just disappear off the internet. Very little traces on there at all. Like, he had some times on speedrun.com, he deleted the accounts of the times the runs don't even exist anymore. He could have gotten arrested, yeah, certainly. Like, he literally fucking could have put someone's life in danger. Like, I take that very seriously. Like, I can never get behind that, no matter the cause. Chambers wasn't alright with the doxing either. He made a pastebin in response to Arcus, just calling him out for the doxing and comparing LGBT to pedophilia. Chambers had to make it clear that he wasn't, like, complicit in the doxing, but he was involved in it to some extent, just by name only, just by mention. He was involved, but not, like, directly, like, didn't actually approve of the doxing in question.
So we're going to keep all that. So you can stop by, say hi. Right now he's just doing a lot of 3 to 5 hour streams, and you can continue to support Chambers Gaming if you want. But understand that I'm not going to be the one that's gaming, and so you can still reach out to me on Discord or Twitter, or you can send me a whisper on Twitch if you want. If you want to have a conversation, talk about stuff, ask me questions about a game or two. Very open to still having all of the friendships and relationships I've had before. I just began pursuing other things. And
Support Chambers Gaming? Hell no. It's okay.
Like I said, it served its purpose, and I've appreciated every single one of you. You've been great. Some of you have been great listeners, great thinkers, and I've enjoyed your personalities very, very much. So, with that is my say.
I mean, I can't help but really appreciate Chambers to some extent as well, because I believe in a lot of the stuff he's saying, but the issue is that he's the one saying it, and did a few things that just contradict what he said in this video. Yeah, like, I don't have a problem with them using the LGBT tag on their Twitch page. Except for that one time in May 2019. There was that one time, but still. Obviously, it felt a little awkward to hear him say that when you think about it. So yeah, I was about to say that Chambers, yeah. Certainly, like, interesting. I definitely really did want to just sit down and react to this in full, in case anyone wants to see my reaction to Chambers leaving the gaming community. retro gaming community, but yeah. Because skill-wise, he was really good at what he played. Made some really good contributions to several NES games. Obviously, the one I'm most familiar with is Castlevania III Dracula's Curse, because he beat my 2608 run, like, well, at least 3 times. Once with a 2607, then once again by another second. And then the third one, he got the first ever sub 26 in Castlevania III Alucard. Okay, last I checked, his best time was a 25:56. And in case you're wondering, this run also got 2 high axes in it, which cost him 3 seconds each, so he could have been even closer to me if he got better axe armor luck in 8. So yeah, he was the first one to get a 25:59. He almost beat the world record on one run, but he made one incorrect input very early in the run, which caused him to accidentally get the triple shot on his holy water and thus not be able to get it over to the axe. So yeah, he had world record pace up to the Dracula fight, but couldn't actually get the world record because he was missing triple shot axe. The footage of that run was probably going to be forever lost to time, but I still remembered it as it happened. I mean, of course I remember, because if that one input would not have been done, if he would have not done that one incorrect input, he would have fucking beaten me and JC. His run would have been a 25:48, definitely would have beaten JC, probably would have beaten me as well. Then I would have just simply had to work even harder to get, my #1 spot back. What other runs did he do? I know he has, world record in Jaws, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, codename Viper. Oh, he ran this. Okay, I guess there's other runners beating his times now. These are okay, this scrolls down a long ways. Oh fuck, Chambers has done way more than I could have fucking imagined. Yeah, all these are mostly just NES games. This is all old school stuff, but holy fuck, he's really done a lot. He's got more games on his list than me, that's for damn sure. He's got more runs. I've never heard of Fire and Ice. Tecmo apparently also made it. I know they made Ninja Gaiden, that I'm aware of. Yeah, it was also pretty good at NES Castlevania. I've never heard of Metal Storm. I think I've only heard this game because it was in a Big 20. Same for Shadowgate. Yeah, I was right about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Codename Viper. Okay, someone else eventually just beat his run. Yeah, he really did do a lot in the retro community. We're not going to deny that. We definitely can't, disqualify any of his accomplishments, because this guy had to have worked so hard to do all these runs, get all these times. Can't imagine just how hard this guy must have worked to get this on his speedrun.com profile page. How far back was he? Let me see. 139th with a 459. I think the world record's what, a 455 point something? Let me double check. Mid 455, right? Just goes to show you how many people have ran Super Mario Brothers. It's one of the biggest speed games ever. I guess that's why the leaderboard took some time to load. 455 and 646 milliseconds. I think it can only save time in increments of 36 milliseconds. I think because of the frame rule system. So look at all these 455s even. There's even yeah, 6 455s. Way more 456s. Probably even more 457s. And 458s. So well over 100 people have beaten Super Mario Brothers in under 5 minutes. I remember, I'm trying to remember exactly when someone said, okay, 100 people beat this in under 5 minutes. Now we're looking at more 150 plus people have beaten Super Mario Bros. In under 5 minutes. 172 people at least have beaten Super Mario Bros. In under 5 minutes, so I got banned on some asshole's stream for telling him to chill out. You said chill out and what? You got banned? Okay then. So I really just can't imagine just how much time must have been sunk in, just how much work he must have put in to do all these runs, this Chambers guy. Yeah, if you look at my speedrun.com profile page, you're gonna see like fewer runs. Way fewer. Probably because I just sunk most of my time when it came to speedrunning into Castlevania 3. Chill out. I was gonna ban you for a joke, but no, I'm not that. I'm not that desperate to make a joke. So yeah, far fewer runs on my profile page than on Chambers. 450th on Super Mario World 11 exit. I didn't even do that many attempts on this, to be fair. I probably also really just slipped behind with Super Castlevania 4 as well. Haven't touched that in years. 3 years ago. That was one of my fastest times. Probably because I sunk a lot of my time into this category, NES Alucard. Also put a decent amount of time into Famicom Sypha, NES Sypha. Not too much time here, really not too much time. Oh right, not even 50 attempts. And also, good amount of time put into this. Never got quite as good at the movement with Grant as with Sypha and Alucard. Never even tried Trevor only yet. Aside from Sunken City Path, but that's an unofficial category. So yeah, I was gonna say, like, Chambers' contribution to the retro gaming community in terms of overall skill, also as a person, to at least some degree, that definitely, like, can't be, like, ignored. Like, that definitely has to be, like, respected and acknowledged. Especially with the number of runs he's done, especially, like, with the technical skill and just his love for retro gaming. Can't be ignored, can't be, like, just, like, diminished. Yeah, still honestly do have mixed opinions on Chambers. Sure, there's all this. I still probably do look at him more positively than negatively because there's just honestly more good from him that I see than bad, but of course there was still like the whole get out of our team if you don't remove your LGBT tag that I just can't agree with. I think if the team was still going, which it's probably completely dissolved by now, if it somehow was still going, I think I'd still be blocked. See, I did bring up earlier, this guy blocked me on Twitter with his Team Retro Craze account because I didn't agree with the whole LGBT tag controversy. I mean, I've brought this up like numerous times during the stream. I'm probably not going to bring it up again, so I'm probably just going to end it here. I can grow facial hair, I just shave it off more often than I don't.
I wish all of you wonderful gaming and have fun.
And Chambers, yeah, what else can I say? I do wish the best for you as well. Though I don't agree with everything you've ever done, still, I do hope for the best for you.